Welcome to the Gearbox Podcast with Jimmy Purdy. We're bringing together industry leaders and those in the daily grind. Whether you're a tech looking to level up or a shop owner navigating the business, or just here for some real talk about the automotive world, we're finding the common ground in entrepreneurship and picking up some valuable tips along the way. So buckle up, let's shift into gear. Ready to take your shop to the next level? Growing a successful auto repair business takes more than just turning wrenches. You need the right strategy. Repair Shop of Tomorrow helps shop owners boost car count, increase profits, and streamline operations with expert coaching and marketing. Check them out today at repairshopoftomorrow.com and start growing tomorrow. Mr. Matt DiFrancesco?
DiFrancesco.
DiFrancesco. See, I knew I was going to screw that up. I shouldn't even try it.
You wouldn't be the first.
Won't be the last either.
That's right.
Financial advisor and a certified exit planner. Helps collision shop owners transition their businesses and build multi-generational wealth. 20 years of experience, and you specialize in guiding family-owned shops through exit strategies that protect their legacy and create a clear path for what's next. Matt is also the host of Your Business, Your Life, which is a podcast with over 100 episodes, focused on aligning business success with personal fulfillment.
Yeah,
I like that.
You like
a lot of stuff to unpack there for sure.
There really is. We
definitely got an hour worth of stuff to talk about here because that's
there's no doubt.
This is all great stuff, man. This is
yeah. As a matter of fact, it was fun. I'm actually in the process of getting clients. I'm going to do podcasts with them, just having them talk about their experience working through, because there is a lot to unpack, and people are kind of going, well, what do you do? So I'm utilizing their examples to be able to do that.
That's awesome. This is powerful stuff because it's just something you don't think about. And I mean, even for me, I'm getting into the realm now where, you kind of wish you started it earlier, right? And it's hard to make any investment, right? Because it costs money. It takes money to make money. And you're just in survival mode for so long. You hold on to every dollar and you're so concerned with where that money's going. And when it leaves and then you don't see it back for like a year or 2 years, right? Like that 2 years is scary the first time, but then the second time around, like, oh man, 2 years, I'll make my money back. Like I'm in, right? Like, and the second time you invest, it's like 300 times easier.
That's exactly right. It's funny you mentioned that because I'm actually just writing an article for Body Shop Business on that particular thing.
Interesting. Yeah. And that covers in the investment into the shop, or what's the story?
Investment into the shop, investment into yourself, all of that stuff.
That's cool. Yeah. It's a big deal because you get stuck in the trap, and I refer to it as the entrepreneurial trap, right? Because you think you're going to open a business and you're going to be free and you're going to have like all this money coming in. You're going to get to choose your own hours and all this kind of stuff. And then before you know it, you're working, 24 hours a day, basically, right? So 10, 12 hours a day and waking up early the next day to try to get ahead of the curve. And the next day you're getting up a little bit earlier to get ahead of the curve. And before you know it, there is no getting ahead of it. And
that's right.
And you're in a trap, now it's like now your hours, instead of getting there at 8, you get there at 6. And now that's your new normal, right? And instead of leaving at 5, you're leaving at 6. Now you're leaving at 7. It's like, it's crazy, man. And you have to
I always say you're the first one there, first one to come in, last one to leave, and last one to get paid.
That's very true. That's very true. Yeah. And then it's to the point, right? Then that small amount of money that you get, you're like, I'm not letting this leave my sight.
Yeah, that's right. I know.
But
it's tough, man.
Then what's the end game, right? And it's like, then you just struggle. And it's like, you've never set anything up to exit, right? And even for me, I mean, that's so far, and I'm still building, right? So I've had conversations like this with other, similar people in your position, have similar companies, and it's just I think about that personally, and I'm like, wow, I'm so far from that, and I just ignore it, right? I'm like, I don't need to worry about that, right? And it's like I realize that's a mistake.
Mm-hmm. Yo, you're exactly right. You're exactly right.
Is that a conversation you have a lot with like new clients?
Oh yeah. It's amazing. And it's a lot of my messaging now. So I kind of got, when I first like really started diving in with collision shops, I found that, the guys that were coming to me were like, I'm 65 years old. I'm burned out. I don't have any kids. I don't have, and they were like, they were stuck. I mean, and we had no chance to build value in the business. I'd be like, what kind of lifestyle you want to live? Well, what I'm living now. And then you'd start looking at their personal assets, run the financial plan, look at what their business value was on a sale. What are we going to net out of that? And it didn't line up. but we had no time to be able to build value in the business to help them achieve the lifestyle. So then I got really aggressive in marketing to younger owners and started saying, look, you need to be, 5 years and earlier, is really when you need to start planning. And really, ideally, when you open your shop.
Yeah, that's a weird thing to think about,
Yeah,
It
it really is.
Well, there's two different business owners, right? You have and we talked about this before we jumped on, right? You have like the business owners, and then you have a business owner, right? So you have like a business owner that like becomes a business owner, but never really becomes a business owner, right? Because they're still working in the business. And they never take a step back and work, in it instead of on it. Or they're always working in it, not on it. And so you have those two. And some people can grab a shop and they open it and they have a system in place and they just boom, 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 all the layers go into place. And immediately they're already planning on, okay, how do I get my EBITDA? How do I get this thing ready to sell in the next 15 years? Right. And that's like year one. They're already setting that up. Right. Where the rest, where like most of us, the majority is like, you just step into the shoes of being an owner and you're just like, how do I make enough money to be comfortable this year? And like the last thing I'm thinking about is like selling this place.
That's right. That's exactly right. But you got to begin with the end in mind, as Stephen Covey always says. And that's where I start. I get these guys starting to think, okay, we're going to go back. I said, doing this stuff, I've been doing this for 20 years. For me, it's just putting a puzzle together. I know the pieces that fit together. The problem is if I don't see the picture on the box, I don't know the best way to put the puzzle together. Okay. And so we start with getting creating the picture on the box. What do you want your life and business to look like? What do you want for your family? What's this vision? What's your lifestyle going to look like? Okay. And then we work in reverse. We kind of figure out, okay, so what kind of income, and we'll look at today's dollars. All right. And what that's going to be. So it's like you're going on a trip. And so the first thing we're going to put in your GPS is
where you want to go.
Exactly. Okay. You got to know where you want to go.
Right? Realistically though, right? I'm sure you have a lot of the realistic conversation you got to have, right?
Not necessarily. Sometimes I want to know their bucket lists. That's really because the stuff that's going to drive them, two things that are going to drive them is not being realistic. It's going to be dreams. Boy, I'd like to be able to travel to Europe once a year. Oh, I'd like to be able to, golf 5 days a week. Oh, I'd like to be able to, climb Mount Kilimanjaro. Okay. Whatever those things are. And the other thing is pain. So if I get them thinking about big dreams and big goals and then say, okay, well, how would you feel if you didn't achieve these things? And all of a sudden now I'm getting them emotionally involved in the process, and it's painful. It's painful, but we have to, people will react to pain quicker than pleasure. So my assistant who works with me on plan, she kind of sits second chair. She does a lot of the project management and business development. I was telling her this because she's she's a devout Christian and she doesn't want to hurt people's feelings. And I said, sometimes you got to create some pain, but you're doing it for their benefit, right? Because that will be a lot of times the only way that they start moving forward. So that's what we do is create this great picture. Then we analyze the second thing in the GPS. It asks you where you're coming from, right? Yeah. And so we've got to look at where they are now. And then what do they need to do to get to this endpoint? Now I can start creating the strategies to do that.
Interesting. So, I mean, with that in mind, it does make sense to start earlier, right?
Oh, yeah.
The sooner the better. I mean, day one, right? Because you want to know. It's hard to detach yourself from the daily grind,
Yes.
Like once you get involved and you're doing what you have to do every day, you forget that there's another life that you will be having. Hopefully,
correct.
Hopefully you get to retire. Hopefully you get to sell what you've built your whole life and do something fun. What does that look like? What do you want? But when you're 10 years in, I could imagine that's very difficult to say, I don't know, and probably a lot of guys that retire and they just end up opening another shop or they just hang around the shop. There's like, I don't know what else I'm supposed to do. I don't know I don't even know what I like anymore.
Well, right. And then, it's like they die in their seat,
Yeah.
And, who wants to do that, and the other thing is, I think, again, they don't understand what the possibilities are. And if they start planning ahead, there's a lot of different possibilities. So I'll give you an example. I got a client who he's up in Massachusetts and he came to me told me, look, I don't have any, I'm 60, I think he's 63 years old. He had a bout of cancer. He's going, I need to start looking at what life looks like afterwards. I don't have any kids. My employees aren't interested in taking it over. And so we started going through this process of designing his life. And then, we really started talking about like, okay, so you sell the business. So you sell it to a consolidator. You see Gerber or Caliber, or Vive or whoever it is. You see that sign on your shop. I said, how would that make you feel? And he all of a sudden, he kind of pauses and he goes, I live a mile away from my shop. I would drive by it every day. He goes, I don't think that would make me feel that good. I'm like, oh, okay. So then we started talking about his employees, and he really liked his employees and he wants to take care of them. So we started putting in a plan in place. I said, he's like, if I only had to come in like 20 hours a week, just come in the morning, maybe do a team meeting, and then I could go out and do whatever I wanted. He goes, that would be great. And I could take care of my employees. That'd be great. So we started working, and I call that incidental ownership. So in an incidental owner, the business doesn't run you, you run the business. Okay. As an essential owner, the business runs you. Okay. You have to be there. It's completely dependent on you. All right. And having a shop like that not only doesn't give you freedom, but it also drives the value of the business down. So when you look at business value, one of the key things is how dependent is the shop on the owner being there. Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, we have a shop now that isn't dependent on him being there all the time. All of a sudden, he's raised the value of his business. So if he does decide to sell, it becomes a much more marketable entity or asset for him.
Well, kind of walk me through that process a little bit. How, and I love that analogy. I love because you have the absentee owner, right? And you have all these different. I like how you worded it. That sounds politically correct.
Thank you. Thank you.
But how do you strategize with like hiring of a manager, or like, do you have a private equity come in and put someone in place, or how does that work if say someone was interested in that kind of position, so they didn't have to completely leave the business, but they get to have, because in my mind, owning a business is that, right? Not necessarily being an absentee owner, but like, yeah, you come in, you motivate the people, and then you go do the rest of your day, right? You check, you come the end of the week, and you make sure the numbers are lining up, make sure that they're, the money in the bank matches what can, you do your checks and your balances, right? Come in the morning, get everyone prepped up, and then you start your day and you go. That's what my vision of like business ownership looks like.
Correct.
So that's why you kind of hit a button for me. So in those kinds of situations, how do you transition the owner into that role?
Well, I think the first thing you've got to do, again, and it all comes down to that personal vision and really what they want, what they want out of life, and what they want for not only their themselves, but their families. All right. Sure. And then how the business fits in. Now, there's a lot of different ways you could do this. You could bring in some private equity investor to influx some cash, which, but then a lot of times you become beholden, because now you have an investor in the business. Sure. Now you become beholden to them. So now you kind of get you're back in square one with kind of a job, because they're, again, they're investing in it to make sure that it's, that they're getting good cash flow and they're getting a return on their investment. Sure. So I don't know. I don't usually recommend that sort of things. There's a couple different things that we'll do. One thing is we'll look at what I call a management succession worksheet. So I'll go through with the owner, and we'll look at all the different roles that are out there. Okay. And then who's responsible for each role. And it really starts with the first thing I want to make them aware of is how owner dependent is your business. And so I'll have them do a survey on these things. And it's amazing. I mean, sometimes, they'll be like 75, 80% dependent. And I'm like, you're not in a good position. If they're anything above 50%, you're got a very owner dependent business. So now what we're looking at is saying, okay, look at all these roles and these things that you do. Who would be your successor if something happened to you? If you could not do this, or who would you want to pass this on to? So we'll look at some of the key employees. We'll take all the key employees and who could be the successor. And then how capable are they? All right. Could they take over the job right now? They get a 1. All right. Do they need a little bit of training to this? Then they get a 2. They need to be completely trained on. They get a 3. So now all of a sudden we've taken every role. We found out who's in charge, who's the one responsible for that, who would be a natural successor, and how capable. So then what I have them do, I said, okay, let's start with a low hanging fruit. So all the things that you do that you have a natural successor that can take over right now, I need you to delegate that stuff now. Okay. Then we start looking at the next tier, the ones that need a little bit of training. Okay, now we're going to invest time and let's get them trained up so they can start taking these things off your plate. And so you start breaking it down into bite-sized pieces. Right? It's about eating an elephant. How to eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So we're going to do it one bite at a time. And that's how we start to create less owner dependency and allow him to be more of an incidental owner. I think the other thing too, and this is a really important thing, and I don't know if you've ever read the book, 10X is Easier Than 2X by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy.
I haven't,
And
but
the
I'm
whole
check
premise
that one up.
is, it's a great book. It's fantastic. As a matter of fact, if you're going to, I would start with The Gap and the Gain and then read Who Not How and then read 10X. Okay. Because what they talk about in 10X is not 10 timesing the size of your business. 10X is creating a vision that just kind of blows your mind. All right. That's like, doubling your business is just like, okay, I gotta put twice as much work on it. When you're looking at 10X, it's going to be like, I got to start thinking in a completely different way.
Yeah.
So a lot of this is really kind of doing an evaluation of everything that you do and figuring what's my unique ability. Okay. So like, even I've done this in my business. So I had things that, just admin work, making travel arrangements, responding to emails, all this, booking my schedule, handling my calendar. This was all stuff that I hate doing that doesn't earn me money. So what I had to do was I had to first go and I delegated all that stuff. So I hired a personal assistant to handle my calendar, to book my travel arrangements. I hired a service team to basically do all my admin work. So I got that stuff off my plate. The second area was the stuff that earns me money, but I don't particularly like doing. So like returning calls, making proposals, data entry into our CRMs, those type of things. So then I started to delegate that stuff up because what I found, my unique ability was basically being chief strategist, sitting with the clients and being the chief guy to be able to coordinate the plans, get to the root causes, deal with the emotional aspects of this, because that's a huge component of all this, is managing the client's emotions throughout the process, especially when they're family transfers. Okay.
Right. Oh yeah.
And then the things that don't make me any money, but I love doing, that's like, playing tennis and pickleball and traveling and personal development, all that stuff. Now I'm free to do that stuff. But you see, I found out what my unique genius was, found the who's, not the how to get these done, but the who's that could get that done. And that's how you start to move from that essential owner to that incidental owner.
Yeah. That's, it's super valuable. I mean,
there's a lot to digest.
It is, but like people can use that in their business too, because they don't stay in their lane, right? And I know we're talking kind of collision,
right,
but auto repair, it's business is business, right? HVAC, plumbing, electrical, right? Like, yeah, we have all our nuances, but blue collar, and we're all doing the GP needs to stay the same, the net about needs to stay the same. I mean, net's always better when it's more, but it's like the numbers always line up to be the same. The technicians usually get paid about the same. It's like it should be the same across the board. And in every industry, the fluctuations go up and down.
What happened?
So,
there?
I mean, that's what it is. But like, what I was getting at was like some auto repair businesses, they don't stay in their lane, and then they end up doing these jobs that don't give them. Collision in the auto repair industry is very similar, right? It's the same as like most other blue collars. What I was saying is like, they start taking on repairs that they shouldn't be taking on because they don't know how to stay in their lane. And so they get these non-profitable, low GP jobs, right? But like, that's a great business strategy. Like, stay in your lane, do what you're good at, and then hire out where you're not. Like, how many business owners do you know that do their own taxes and their own accounting? Are you a freaking CPA, man? Hire a CPA. What are you doing?
Right.
Like,
oh boy, I keep losing you here.
And some of them have wives that are CPAs, but for the most part, it's like, is using that for your own personal growth too. Like, staying in your lane, doing what you're good at, and hiring out, what you should be. And just like you said, with like a personal assistant, I mean, you should hire a CPA. You should hire a tax accountant. Like,
yeah. Well, and again, I think, even with the CPA, you want to hire a good tax planning CPA. All right. And that's one of the things that I do. So how I work, I'm kind of the quarterback in all of this with the clients. So, I'm helping them to develop the plans. We put the plan in place, and then I'm bringing in a lot of times the team to either work with their people or to do the actual work for them. All right. To make sure that it's done properly. Because again, anytime you're doing, whether it's exit strategies or value building or building value in the business, all right, you need to have proper tax planning strategies. You need to have a business attorney. So we make sure that the business and their personal estate planning is done properly. Okay. If it gets into, we need to clean up their financials are a mess. All right. Or we need to identify where, where are they missing out? Why their gross profits at 6%? Why? Okay, maybe they have leakage in their paint booth. Maybe maybe they're not negotiating proper parts, proper pricing for their parts. I mean, it could be a number of different things. So I might bring in somebody from the like a consultant that can analyze their books and say, oh, look, I mean, I have one client we did that with, and the consultant came in. He's like, you got 58% leakage in your paint booth.
No, that's a great point too. Like
I'm checking my
looking for.
What's that?
I was saying with you were saying they had 58% leakage in the booth.
Yeah,
the internet's running a little slow.
That's a huge number. That's just
Well, it sounds like most of it. You kind of come in as like a business consultant and kind of like a business coach, more than just like an exit strategy, right? But you're really looking for like the most important things to make their business worth the most amount of money.
That's pretty much it's really more coaching. Correct. And to get them to make themselves. So I will also look at it from the personal side. Okay. Because that's really where my core business comes in is, again, it's not just about how much you make, it's about how much you keep. Okay. So again, I can help them to implement certain tax strategies. Now, I'll do this in conjunction with a qualified CPA. I'm not licensed to do that, but I can say, look, I think, what we need to do is we need to put a 401k profit sharing plan that's going to allow you to put $70,000 personally, plus contributions to your employees, which you're going to be deferring taxes on all that. So you get $100,000 a year into a properly structured retirement plan. All right. You're going to save $30,000 to $40,000 in taxes, depending on your structure.
Yeah. Really just focusing on the business side, and a lot of coaching companies that I've been with or heard about, they think auto repair is specific, right? And they focus so much on the auto repair aspect instead of taking a step back and saying, well, what makes the business worth money, right? And it doesn't necessarily matter if it's like collision or auto repair, like I said, right? It's just like, because what you're saying now is that goes across anything. Like it's kind of common sense when you hear it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it really is. It really is. The benefit of knowing a certain industry or being niched in an industry, like with collision on my part, is that I know the problems that they face. The difference between mechanical repair and the collision industry is that a mechanical player is all just out of pocket. A customer comes in, they need their car fixed, car gets fixed, they write a check. Okay. In the collision industry, you've got these insurance companies, and it's having to navigate those insurance companies. But, one of the things that I see, and I think it crosses into both industries, is that you can, you can raise profitability by just niching in a certain area. So for example, in a lot of my shops, what we're starting to talk about is, do we want to just, do we want to go more narrow and focus and increase, not necessarily move more cars through to increase gross revenue, but move the same car, less cars with a higher level of profitability? Well, how do you do that? Well, it's OEM certifications. Maybe you get certified in just a couple, get certified with a couple OEs. I think the second thing is that, again, we do OEM, follow OEM procedures. Okay. And the third thing is to learn. They're under similar constraints. I think the big difference is that the automotive repair business it's cash driven. I mean, a customer, their car breaks down, it comes into the shop, they repair it, Customer writes a check, boom, walks out the door. In the collision industry, it's very insurance driven. So now you've got collision shop owners that have to learn how to navigate the whole insurance world that's out there. So what I'm seeing, but I think the big parallel between the two is that I think, again, it's not necessarily always about increasing revenue, but it's about increasing profitability. I think any business owner would say if they could do the same volume or less, but have a much higher level of profitability, they'd take that any day. Right?
Sure. Yeah.
So how do you do that? Well, one thing we've got a lot of our guys doing, getting OE certifications. Okay. I think the second thing, and not getting 15 out there, but maybe 2 or 3 in a very specialized market, like Euro luxury or, EVs or, whatever that may be. So, being very narrow, this is what we do. We are OE certified. We are going to follow OE specs, and then educating the customers on not only their rights, with the insurance company, but also this is what the cost of the repair is going to be done right, because we want to do this according to how the manufacturers built this vehicle, and they built this vehicle for yours and your family's safety. And we don't want to cut corners. And, a lot of times it's about, a lot of times I end up having them to teach a lot of these shop owners basic sales skills, like pre-framing. Okay. Here's the repair plan. Now I'm going to tell you, Mr. Customer or Mrs. Customer, we're going to send this into your insurance company, but they are going to push back on this, and they're not going to be willing to pay all this. You have rights. I mean, you have 2 options. One is you could just write me a check and would be done. Second thing is you can go back to your insurance company, and if you have a right to appraisal or whatever, or even just going to them and saying, look, I'm this loyal customer of yours. I want my car fixed according to these standards. And if you want to keep my business, this is what you're going to do. So educating the customer. And by this, we can start getting paid for doing the repair right, and every part of it, storage, parts, every part that needs to be paid, getting proper labor rates, all of those things. So, and I think the same thing happens, even just the automotive repair business is being very specific, because we just can't be generalists anymore. I don't, because, we can only move so many cars through our shops. Okay. We only have so much space to do that. And so really the key is, how do we increase the profitability with each car that comes in?
Yeah. And having someone be able to oversee that and show you, and I guess in a sense, slap you on the back of your hand, right? Don't do that anymore. Don't charge what you're supposed to be charging, right?
Correct.
Quit discounting stuff. Quit emotionally discounting stuff. Make sure your parts margins where they need to be. Quit taking customer supplied parts. Like they said, and a lot of that probably blurs over into the collision field, right? It's like, and I know a lot of it's insurance, but there's still private people come in that want to get their cars fixed that aren't. How many times people say, "Oh, I don't want to do the claim because it's going to make my insurance rates go up," right? So they're like, well, they still want the dent fixed, right? So it's like it's still there, right? And then they're still going to go on eBay and say, "I found that fender on eBay for half price."
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. But, again, that's where educating the customer. It's actually interesting. There's a program my coach does called Mastering the Art of People that we're actually working on. He's working with me to license this program to be able to take it out to the rest of, to the industry. He's produced, I've done it. Many times. And, I was actually talking to it with a bunch of shop owners, and they were really interested. I said, what your biggest problem is? And I this is probably across, whether it's collision or automotive repair, is because these guys do blue collar work. All right. They don't consider themselves professionals. Now think about a vehicle. Point. We're driving computers on wheels. I mean, it's highly, highly, highly technical. And so, you've got to start thinking, and an owner's got to start thinking like a professional, like a dentist or an attorney, like how many times do somebody shows up at the shop to bring their car in and we drop everything and we're going to do this? No, why can't you work off appointments? Okay. Why can't you schedule so that you've got adequate flow coming in? Okay. in the collision world. I mean, I got one guy where, he makes customers and adjusters book appointments, and he makes them book it at the same time. So when the adjuster's coming, the customer's there and he's there, and now they can have a dialogue about how this repair is going to be done and what the insurance company is going to pay for. Okay. Pretty ingenious, but it's about mastering the art of people. So I was actually telling them about this program, and they were like, "Oh, we'd love to do that." So I'm actually working right now with my coach to do a licensing deal with them that I can provide this out to shop owners so they can start learning how to how do we master the art of people? How do we learn to read people? How do we learn to communicate properly? Okay. Because that's the bottom line. But again, it comes down to, we've got to start thinking of ourselves as business owners. I mean, absolutely, I got a client of mine. They've got a automotive repair shop, and dad just kind of transitioned to the son, and the son is just, he looks at himself as a grease monkey, and he doesn't want to do anything. And I'm watching the business just slowly go down, and I keep trying to tell him, no, you're a business owner. You got to be a professional about this. Okay. You can't just show up when you want to show up, and you can't, clean yourself up a little bit. I know you're working on cars, but when you're going to see a customer, wash your hands. Okay.
Be presentable.
Simple stuff like that. Yeah.
It's kind of, you have to take that salesman role kind of seriously. Like
yes.
And there's that negative connotation about being, in quote unquote, a salesman, right? But that is the quintessential art of what you have to learn to do, because you're selling yourself everywhere you go, everybody you talk to, everything you present, everything you like, everything. So it's the negative connotation is drives me crazy when it comes to that kind of stuff. Oh, I don't want to be a salesman. Well, then you probably shouldn't own a business.
Give me a second. I'm sorry. Now that was me. Now this time my phone's usually on do not disturb, and
I didn't hear it
because it's after 6. I forgot to put it back on there. As soon as a phone call comes in,
it took over your headphones.
Yeah, exactly. So sorry about that. What were we talking about?
That's all right.
One of these
days. Just the fact of taking that role as a business owner. And I mean, you have to take that sales role. Like, you are a salesman, right? Like,
yeah,
that's what you are. And but it's a negative connotation. Everyone's, I'm not going to be a sleazy salesman. It's like, there's nothing sleazy about it. It's what makes the world go around, right? Like, that's people are buying or they're selling. That's your whole life. That's what we do.
Are you married? So you had to sell your wife on marrying you, right? Okay. Do you have kids? You're selling them on your values and your principles.
She sold your ass on getting those kids. I'll tell you that much right now.
That's right. That's exactly right. So I mean, it's such. It blows my mind. I'm not a salesman. Well, you must be, because I say your wife, and you definitely outkicked your competition.
You got it in you, bud. There's something in there. Get that out. Exactly, and if you don't, then go work for somebody. Like, you're not going to be, there's and for me too, it's ever learning. But the more you learn, the more you realize it is about how you present yourself. It's about what you do for the community. It's about getting out there. It's never about fixing the car. Like, that's just, you own it, or body shop, auto repair. Like, that's a given. You better fix the car. Like, that goes without saying, right? But like, everything else beyond that is you presenting yourself as a salesman, making sure that you walk in, it's clean, it smells good, you look good, you smell good.
Right. And I'll tell you what, and this is what's interesting with cars, who are, and this is both automotive and collision, who are their most frequent clients? It's women.
Yeah.
And women don't want to walk in. Like, my wife doesn't want to walk into a dirty shop and all that stuff. She wants to be taken care of, and if the shop will pick up her vehicle and take it back in, or if she has to go in, do you have a nice waiting room? Do you have magazines that she wants to look at? Is it clean? The other thing, and I always find this crazy, is, what do you have like on the TV in your screen? Sometimes, the TV in your, in the waiting room.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have the news on? I mean, it's so negative. Like, what message are you sending to your customers? Put the travel network on, or HGTV, or something that's going to get people excited.
Something fun to watch. Yeah. Not what you want to see.
Right.
You got the sport. Right. You got the sports game on. Like, why do you have the game on? Turn that off. Like, what are you doing?
That's right. That's exactly right. I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
it's madness. But we don't think this way. We don't think
Right.
this way. And I think, in the automotive, in automotive shops, again, I think it's just, it's a perception. I mean, one of my very first clients, and this guy's got a really successful shop. He's doing over $6 million a year. Man, you can just eat off his floors. He's got the thing figured out. And, I remember he and I were having lunch one day, and he told me, he goes, when he was looking to get into collision repair. He's going to go to technical school to do collision repair. He's going back and forth between collision repair and HVAC, and he decided on collision repair because he just loved cars and he loved racing. And his parents were just like, "Why do you want to be a grease monkey?" And that stuck with him. And it took him decades to finally, a lot of times it was when I first started working with him, I started telling him, "Boy, what a successful businessman you are. Look at what you've done here." And he was like, "Huh?" But he never, 30 years, he didn't have that perception of himself.
Yeah, that's a real thing. The imposter syndrome, right?
Yep. Yeah.
You start making decisions as like a third person instead of making it as yourself. This is some psychological stuff there, man.
Right. That's true. That's true. But it's interesting. I just recently listened to a podcast with Arthur Brooks, and he talked about the imposter syndrome. And he goes, if you don't have the imposter syndrome, that means you're a narcissist. Okay. So we have to we have to be stretching ourselves it's like when I first got into, exit planning. And I remember I was doing the training for it, this advanced training, and the certification I have, there's only about 400 of us in the whole country. And I'm the only one that focuses specifically on collision shops and automotive shops. Yeah, I remember we're doing this training, and we're talking about advanced estate planning and how to utilize trust for family transfers, and talking about third party sales and all this stuff. And like, it's kind of blowing all of us away in this class. And I remember one of the guys was like, because I don't know if I can do this. And I kind of looked at him, and it was just kind of this thought hit me. I said, "Yeah, but guess what? Your client doesn't know that you don't know. And as long as you're humble enough to say, 'Hey, I know where to get the answer,' you can get through it."
That's fair,
So
man. That's
it's
that's
and
huge.
then that's how you learn.
Yeah. Just like sales training on the phone, no one knows what you're going to say. Just like right now with the podcast, right? Like no one knows what our script is going to be or should be or might be, or even if there is one, right? And I learned that in radio a long time ago.
I had no
right?
idea what we were going to be talking about. So
Right, but but in your brain, you think that you have to stay to a certain script, right? And I did it on the radio for a long time. I was like, if I don't get to certain, I'd have out all my stuff written out. I'm like, if I don't get to that article, I gotta rush through this to make sure I get all this in time. And it's like the listeners have no idea that this stuff is laying in front of me. Nobody knows what you know or want to do, right? So like at the end of it, it's like just figure it out as the problems come, because you can't know everything.
That's exactly right.
That's crazy. Exactly right. It's crazy what our brains do ourselves.
Oh, it really is. It really is. It was funny. I was recording a podcast yesterday, and it was on Monday. I was recording it, and it was a guy I'd met at a show, and we were talking about things, and I was like, and the problem is I think I have about 120 episodes. All right, so I've done this a number of times, and but I didn't really prepare. So I got in, and then he started talking about tax strategies and like some pretty crazy stuff that was like without any disclaimers. And oh yeah, I know this guy, and he invested in all these different private placement stuff, and he did the mega Roth strategy, and I had $100 million, has $100 million in his Roth IRA. And I'm like, so after I recorded the thing, and then I got thinking something was just not sitting with me. So I went back and I reviewed it, and I'm like, this ain't gonna pass. This ain't gonna pass the compliance test. He's not a CPA, he's not an attorney, he's not a financial advisor, yet he's making claims about all of these different areas.
Sure.
And I'm registered. I mean, I'm under the jurisdiction of the SEC, and being an investment advisory representative, I mean, I have to take a fiduciary role with my clients, meaning I have to do what's in their best interest. And so I can't just wildly say, "Oh, let's do this. You won't pay any taxes." I can't do that because I'm not a CPA to tell them that. I could say we could do this and really minimize your tax liability, but let's talk to your CPA about it.
Right.
Okay. But my point in all of this is in 120 episodes of doing this, I still made a mistake.
Oh, it won't be the first one. Won't be
And it
the
won't
last
be the
one
first
either.
right. So we can't be afraid of making mistakes either.
Right. Yeah, that's well, I think hiding it. So that's the biggest thing. You make a mistake and hide it.
Right.
Like that's like, and so as long as you're okay not making a mistake, like you won't try to hide something. But that's, man, that's, I've done group sessions with other coaching clients, with other shop members, right? We're in these big group processes, and
Right.
you start looking through their numbers and you're like, this isn't right. And then you like kind of talk to them after the event, or after the coaching session, having a beer. And it's like, oh yeah, I went in. I'm like, why? Like, why? Like, you're paying money to like learn how to do this better. But like, you're so worried about your ego and showing that you're not doing it the right way that you hide this in the coaching. So there's 15 shops here, 15 shop owners that are all willing to put their input in to make your shop better. And you're hiding the most crucial point of it. That's crazy to me. I don't understand that at all, but it must be a very prevalent thing in the industry.
It really is. I mean, it's very prevalent, and it's all over the place. And I see it all the time. They hide stuff from me, and
they're paying you.
Yeah. I mean, I guess
what's wrong.
I know. I guess the good thing is I've seen it enough, and I've like looked at financials, and I know how to calculate adjusted EBITDA or seller discretionary earnings and get a sense of valuation. I'll look and I'll be like, these numbers aren't adding up right. There's something not right here. I mean, I had one guy, like literally, I mean, $6 million a year, and he's showing an adjusted EBIT of about $160,000. And I'm going, that makes no sense whatsoever. Well, then when I come to find out, he's running all of his personal expenses off as a business Amex card.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So we had to go back and do add backs and all this stuff. And it's like, and then you're wondering why the value of business is only showing this, less than $1 million.
That stuff's so important to hear. And like the more of that stuff that anyone listening to can listen to of that, because everyone has that uncle or that friend or that whatever that tells you this is what I've been doing for years and I've never gotten in trouble. I've never had a problem with it. And then I can call everything a write-off, right? And it's just red flag city, right? It's like, and it's terrible. And it goes back to your point about the guy that's like spewing stuff on your podcast that doesn't have, any background. It's like, you can't take that stuff verbatim. Like you have to make sure you're talking to a professional about it. And that's the right way to do it. Cause you hear this one thing from this one guy that like thinks he's got it all figured out, but he's not a professional in accounting or tax or anything. And then for the rest of your business life, you're like running all your personal expenses off your credit card because someone told you, because you can use it all as a write-off. It's like, it's crazy. It's crazy to me. It's like that. It's so common,
Oh, it is. It is. And especially then, again, and then they wonder why, if they're going to sell to a third party, why they don't get the valuation that they think they deserve. What's my reputation worth? It ain't worth crap because your numbers aren't showing it, because, you're running your boat through your P&L. It doesn't make any, it just doesn't make any sense. But, and I have a criteria anytime I'm working with a client. So I always do, I'll talk to anybody. So if whether it's a collision shop owner or an automotive shop owner, or I got started working with just family businesses in general. So I've got businesses in other areas. I got propane, I got advertising, I got excavating, and I get referrals in from people who say, hey, can you help my friend out? Okay. Or a CPA that says, look, they're trying to do an exit strategy. And where I like right now, I'm working with an interior design company. Okay. But business is business. It's kind of like what you said. But the thing so I'll talk to anybody, but I have 3 criteria that I'm looking for. First one is, are you likable? Are you likable? Do you like me? Because if we don't like each other, forget it. I mean, it's just not going to work. Okay. That's the second thing. The second thing is, are you going to be profitable? Are you willing to pay me? You really pay me what you're worth? Or are you going to just, try to nickel and dime me to death? I'm getting too old for that. All right. But the third thing is, are you coachable? And, I've been doing this for 20 years, and I've got clients that I've had those whole 20 years. And I can say this, that every one of them is in a position to live the lifestyle they want and more, only because they've been coachable. I've said, here's what we need to do. Boom, boom, boom. They followed the steps. And then it's like, okay, we're here. Now let's do this, this, this. and they do it, and they become coachable. And so we have to humble ourselves to say, I don't know what I don't know. And I'm going to humble myself to listen to somebody, and it may hurt, but they're going to help me to get where I want to go. I mean, I've been working with my coach for 15 years. All right. I have a call with him once a month. There's a lot of times where there are uncomfortable conversations, but I know if I'm going to grow, I need somebody to call me out.
Absolutely.
They got to call me out on my stuff.
Yep. They say that the old you has to die for the new one to be born.
That's exactly right.
Right. And and it hurts to die. So, or
it does.
So I've been told. Actually, I haven't been told that. I haven't met anybody that's died, so I guess I wouldn't know. But
well, it's true.
The point is moving.
I've watched people die. Let's put it that way. And it
hurts. It's a painful process. Let's put it that way.
But if you're a believer and believe in what's on the other side, okay, there's something that's greater that's there.
Absolutely. There it is. Yep.
Okay. And I think it's the same thing in whenever you're doing any of this planning. Yeah, it's going to be painful to get to but if I can get you to this point and I know how to get you there, okay, but I need you to listen and I need you to, sometimes I'm going to have to call you out on your stuff. I'm never sure if I can curse on something like this. So I was doing a presentation in Nashville at the Nashville show. And it was funny. I was dropping, curse words all over, and the girl that works with me, she's a devout evangelical Christian, and I kind of looked at her and I said, oh, Hannah, I'm in my shop element. Just, you'll have to forgive me on this one.
You're supposed to say earmuffs.
That's right.
Like I say earmuffs, right. And then she's like, and you can say whatever you want.
That's right. Exactly.
Well, Matt, this has been very insightful, and we had a little technical difficulties there, but we pushed through. We persevered. It was painful, but it was worth it because I think we had some golden nuggets in here for sure.
Well, I hope that's what that's all my goal all the time whenever I'm talking or even just working with a client or even just a prospect. When I talk to somebody, I always tell them, I said, look, we'll do an intro call, kind of assess your situation, see if I can help. And I always tell them, look, if it's not a fit, that's okay. But I promise you, I'll get you pointed in the right direction. So I always want to provide value. Okay. It's just part of one of the core principles that I have. This is just always be providing value.
That's awesome. If someone was interested in getting a hold of you, they can check you out on it's highliftfinancial.com is the website.
Correct.
Do you have any other contact info you want to put out there?
You can always email me at matt@highliftfin.com. Okay. And those are probably the two best ways to get a hold of me. On the website, there's on the top left hand, it says a Let's Talk button that goes right into my calendar. You can schedule. I give everybody 30 minutes, just, no cost, no obligation, just your intro call, just assess your situation, see where you are and see if that we might be able to help. And like I said, even if we can't, I promise to get them pointed in the right direction. So those are probably the two best ways to get a hold of me.
That's awesome. And if they want to hear a little bit more about you in the meantime, before they make a decision, you have the podcast out there. What's the name of the podcast?
Podcast is called Your Business, Your Life. Okay. You can find it on all the major channels, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play. We're on YouTube. You can also go to my website, highliftfinancial.com. And on the homepage, you'll see at the top, the DiFran Digest. And we've got everything archived there.
That's awesome. Well, I'm a subscriber as of now. So I hope the rest of you jump on and this is important stuff, man. The sooner you get involved in these circles, because you're only as good as the circle you surround yourself in, and sometimes these podcasts is the only things we have. So listen to something that doesn't poison your mind,
Oh, exactly. It's funny. My wife's into these true crime things. I'm like, why do you waste your mental energy on that?
I'm a little guilty of that too.
Okay. Well, you and my wife can listen to true crime. True crime. She loves
a little bit.
Stuff.
There's one. It's medical mysteries, and man, it's just like, I do my learning, and then I'm like, this is my little special treat for my brain, and I get to hear some crazy medical story, and I'm like, what? I don't know why I listen to this, but it's I don't know. It is addictive. Cool.
Oh yeah. Well, I guess sports is my little outlet. I was like, it's funny. That's like the only thing I watch on TV is sports.
Huh. Well, I mean, to each their own. I've never been into sports, so
That's all right. Yeah, like you said, to each his own. Whatever floats your boat, So, but no, I think it's all important. And like I said, I think podcasts like yours, or there's thousands of them out there. I mean, I could rattle off 10 like that I think you should listen to, and they're all good, and I think they help to edify you and get you knowledge. But I think the biggest takeaway is find somebody who can help you to get where you want to go. And if you don't know where you want to go, then that's really the starting point.
Yeah,
is really, I think, figure out where you want to go.
Yeah, and the more you surround yourself in that, and just subscribing to my podcast, subscribing to your podcast, subscribing to the different podcasts, just let the algorithm do the work for you, right? Like, we have technology now, use it to its benefit, right? Like, you start clicking on those, and then you get more, and all of a sudden now all it's on your list is stuff that helps you grow, right? And you just surround yourself with it, and then you can reach out to Matt, and you're like, hey, I'm ready to use my time the most efficiently as possible. Because the one thing about sometimes calling when you don't know enough, right, is sometimes it's just not, you're just not ready to accept it. And like your third point, your third criteria, right, you're not coachable yet. You have to make sure you're coachable, so you listen to this valuable information, not just waste everyone's time.
Correct. And there's an old saying that you'll become like the 5 people you associate with the most. So by listening to good podcasts and audios, those type of things, that's one way that you can associate with the high achievers. And when you start doing that, your brain is literally going to start rewiring itself to start thinking in the ways that you need to work as not just a business owner, but as as an entrepreneur.
Absolutely, man. Matt, thanks again for your time. Listen, if you're anything like me, you know the struggles of inconsistent car count and tight margins. That's where Repair Shop of Tomorrow comes in. They help shop owners like us increase sales, improve efficiency, and grow our businesses with proven strategies. Check them out at repairshopoftomorrow.com today and start growing tomorrow.